Another NFL week and a new NFL draft order as, well, Detroit managed to get that win, and now they ain't sitting with that first overall pick as of right now. And we know I do mock the mocks on this channel, so I like to get my mock draft out there before I, criticize everyone else's. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content, as always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Underdog is the sponsor. If you want to know more, check out the link in the description. But let's go ahead, get into this sucker, and start my mock draft as we got the Houston Texans sitting here with the first pick. There ain't no other way to do this. We're taking Bryce Young, quarterback position. Davis Mills, hey, he's fine. He's okay. Let's try to shoot for better. You're here, number one overall. Might as well go with the position that matters most on an NFL roster for an NFL franchise. That would be the quarterback position. So that's why, hey, you're in this spot. Shoot for elite. Shoot for elite. You got to take shots at the quarterback position. Here with the Panthers, PJ Walker will get another start here Thursday night, but we saw Baker come in. We know Baker ain't the future. Sam Darnold's off IR. We know he ain't the future. And PJ Walker, I think he's a fine backup. So let's go ahead and grab the other, probably only top 10 worthy quarterback as it stands right now in CJ Stroud. He's got ideal quarterback size. He's got an NFL arm. So, yeah, we're rocking CJ Stroud. Now, this is where things get interesting because we have the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that honestly might want to go quarterback as well. I mean, I'm just saying, y'all lose to the Colts this weekend, you gotta blow everything up. Like, okay, you know what? We're a bad team. We need to move on from a few of these pieces, and we made mistakes. You're not in position to get a quarterback here. I'm not going to roll the dice with Will Levis with this pick, so just go ahead, take the best prospect on the board. That happens to be Will Anderson. You ain't getting much from Chandler Jones as it stands right now, so add in more pass rush. The pass rush is piss poor, so go ahead and grab that. This is where things get kind of interesting because now the Pittsburgh Steelers are here, and really they need corner. They need offensive tackle help, but Jalen Carter's here. He's a top 4 prospect, literally. You got Stroud, you got Young, you got Anderson, and you got Carter. We saw how much of a difference maker Carter can be in that Tennessee game. Can you imagine this cat playing next to Cameron Hayward? Just go ahead, grab that. We're about offensive line maybe later in the draft, or address free agency. People forget free agency. Oh, we got to address these needs. Oh my gosh, free agency happens before this. Address your needs at free agency. That way you can go in the draft and draft value. We're going Jalen Carter. Detroit, kind of wonky here. Another team that honestly I would love to get him a quarterback, but Will Levis. I'm not going to lie. I will think about Will Levis when it comes to that 12th pick. Right now, absolutely not. Let's just go ahead and take the best prospect on the board. That happens to be Myles Murphy. Can you imagine pairing up Myles Murphy with Aiden Hutchinson? Murphy also has a body type that can kick inside. So, man, I love it, dude. I'm a big fan of Myles Murphy. Now, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is kind of weird because I would love Jalen Carter here. He ain't. So, what do? We could do a corner. We could go corner, replace Shaquille Griffin. Though Shaquille Griffin's playing okay football. Honestly, I'm thinking Peter Skoronski actually being a good pick here because Jawan Taylor is a free agent after the season. You don't know what you have in Walker Little, and I mean, worst case scenario, Peter Skoronski's a very versatile guy. Remember, he came into Northwestern as a center recruit, so maybe a cat, if you want to maybe test the waters with Walker on the outside, then you could kick Skoronski inside. If that goes bad, then, I mean, you could throw Skoronski on the outside. I don't know. I personally would just keep Skoronski at tackle, especially if you don't re-sign. Jawan Taylor, again, Cam Robinson, he's fine enough. So yeah, we're gonna go Skoronski. Keely Ringo, though, I did think about it. Arizona Cardinals, not much to think about here. For me, it's either edge or it's corner. They need pass rush. They need help in coverage. Like, it's one of those two. So Keely Ringo, being the best prospect that kind of fills those two requirements, is here. He big-bodied, athletic freak. We're gonna go ahead, snag him. Now, the Chicago Bears. You listen, Justin Fields, I'm so happy he's doing well. I'm so happy. Now, get him help. So the question here is, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison. Really kind of pick whatever. I think they're already using Darnell Mooney a bit more in the slot. It's about half and half right now. I think it's a little bit more in the slot. But get Johnston to be that outside guy with Chase Claypool, guy that's wonderful after the catch, provides a nice big body target. I like Quentin Johnston with this pick. So we're going to go with Quentin Johnston. The Green Bay Packers, they need separators. They are now very slim at the receiver position, with Christian Watson suffering his second concussion within a week and Romeo Doubs going down with an injury. But neither of those guys were really getting the separation that they really need from those receivers. I think Jordan Addison is kind of a no-brainer here, but I mean, it's the Packers are probably going to go in another direction. So it is what it is. We're going to take Jordan Addison. The Philadelphia Eagles. Man, Saints, man. This is their Saints pick. I can't believe they're going to get a top 10 pick. Bet you Eagles fans really want it to be better than this, but it is what it is. Just take the best prospect on the board. Really, the only thing I could point out about the Eagles, I mean, both the defensive side of the ball. You look at the D-line, it's like, oh, man, we could look, for maybe a pass rusher of the future, or we can go with the interior because our run defense is kind of lacking that stank, especially with Jordan Davis out. You look at the corner position, you might want to get younger there. Bradbury is a free agent. I'm going to go with the best prospect on the board, and that's Brian Brazee. Really good athlete. Him next to Jordan Davis. My goodness. My gosh. Eagles really could go a variety of different ways here. We could just be like, to hell with it. Let's go with Will Levis. But, I mean, Geno's playing really good football, man. Playing really good football. They're bringing him back. Regardless, how he finishes the year, you're bringing him back. And you could maybe worry about the quarterback position later in the draft. And this is where you probably want to address the defense. I think the most ideal pass rusher at this point, because the pass rush is piss poor for the Seahawks. And really, where they're getting done is secondary, man. The secondary is creating a lot of turnovers, both fumbles and interceptions. I like Tyree Wilson, very versatile body type. Great movement skills for a guy his size. I like it. Now we're back with the Detroit Lions. Do we have to answer the Will Levis question? Do we feel good about taking Will Levis here at 12? Not entirely. I don't feel that good about it. Maybe look in the second round, see who's available. That could be an option. I get it, man. You got the tools of Will Levis. Maybe you can make it work. I mean, I really feel like the Lions need to figure out quarterback. They have to. They have to figure out who's going to be the quarterback that's not Goff next year. Who's going to be that guy? But I can't bring myself to take Levis inside just at this point. So we're just going to stick with the defense with a lot of defensive prospects still being on the board. I like the idea of pairing Joey Porter up with Jeffrey Okudah. I think those are two solid picks, Miles Murphy and Joey Porter. Now we got the Houston Texans. You went ahead, you grabbed your quarterback of the future in Bryce Young. Receiver, not really. Can't really do that here. So who else? I mean, the tackles, they're kind of falling, but honestly, Howard and Tunzel, there we go, are actually really good. So it's like, that's not ideal either. Michael Mayer's a thought. I'm not going to lie. It was. Michael Mayer was a thought here. Tight end might not seem sexy, but you get that safety net for that security blanket for your quarterback. Obviously, pass rush is kind of the biggest thing I think at this aspect where there's literally a variety of pass rushers that Lovie Smith could go with, from Isaiah Foskey, Felix Anudike Uzama. There's Jared Verse, BJ Ojolari. Good chance Nolan Smith probably drops to the end of the first round. Maybe early second. I still kind of see him in that area. I saw him there. Like that's my evaluation for him right now. Was he's kind of in that area anyway. So the torn pec just kind of solidifies that for me. That he's a guy that does need a bit more polish. So it's like, okay, who's a Lovie Smith pass rusher? Because the dude loves length. He loves a guy that can really set the edge. Oh my gosh, that's Isaiah Foskey. I don't know, man. It's really weird because you could really go a lot. I didn't even mention Andre Carter. You could go a lot of different ways here. It's really pick who do you think your guy is. So I'm gonna go with Foskey. I think he's more of a Lovie Smith guy. Man, Colts, y'all are blowing it up, man. Y'all really, or at least you're there's gonna be a new coaching staff in tow. I really hope that they get rid of Gus Bradley. He's one of my least favorite defensive coordinators in the league. I don't think he brings all that much to the table. And he's just, as a defensive play caller, he's just very predictable. Dude never blitzes. As long as he can defend 4 pass rushers, you're kind of A-okay. When it comes to, this is a team that they need to go quarterback. They have to. Whether they want to go with the tools, which it's Irsay, I believe they'll go with the tools of Will Levis, or they look at a guy like Tanner McKee, who he's got an NFL arm, he's got that NFL build, doesn't exactly have the mobility, but a guy that can come in and I think efficiently operate the offense that's just not producing well because Stanford sucks. Anthony Richardson, he's such an enigma, but teams are gonna be thinking about that cat if he decides to declare. But we're going to go with Will Levis. That kind of makes the most sense, I think, here. The Atlanta Falcons, y'all are going to have to hear me out on this one. All right, so I was thinking about going corner. I think corner corner was right there. It was on the tip of my fingers. I almost cemented that in. But I was like, man, these tackles are falling. Well, let's take a look at this offensive line real quick. Caleb McGarry, they're going to have to decide if they want to bring him back or not. They won't have, I don't think they have an out of Jake Matthews contract until post-June 2023. So after the 2024. So after the 2023 season, it would be post-June. I think that's when his contract, you can actually move it and be okay with it. But he's a guy that also you could kick to the interior, but the interior guys have been playing well outside of Drew Dahlman. So honestly, I think you just go with the value here of tackle. So I went ahead and snagged Paris Johnson with the plan of let's bring back McGarry. Let's move Matthews into one of the guard spots. You got Chris Lindstrom, obviously. Elijah Wilkinson's been really good this year, but he's probably on a 1 year. And that's honestly maybe you could move Lindstrom into center, and that way you still work that out. I don't know. It was just, this is the best value on the board, and I found a way to make sense of it. Riddle me that. The Washington Commanders, quarterback be nice, but really I love Tanner McKee. I would have him ranked higher than Richardson, but if I'm the Commanders, I would swing for Richardson. I would swing on those tools. I'm not going to do either of those. Cornerback position, it needs help. They just traded away Will Jackson, who he wasn't doing all that great, but still, they need more horses in the cornerback room. I'm going to go with Cam Smith. I feel like he's a pretty safe floor corner. All right, y'all got to hear me out. Okay, so the purpose of these mock drafts, I try to experiment with a variety of different possibilities most of the time. That way, y'all, you get a good look at what can happen in the draft and if it can happen logically. I don't try to do anything that's illogical. Illogical. You know what I'm saying? And one of the guys I have the toughest play, outside of Bijan Robinson, Michael Mayer is a guy that I have an incredible difficulty trying to figure out where he could go in this draft. And I'm going to have him go to the Patriots here. And you'd be like, they got Hunter Henry. They could get out of Hunter Henry's contract after this season, and that frees up a lot of money for him. They're paying a lot of money for Hunter Henry and for Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith, his contract a little harder to get out of after this season. He's going to be there for at least one more year. Hunter Henry's, though, you are able to get out of that. So replacing Hunter Henry with a guy that is a phenomenal run blocker, a great security blanket for Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, I think it's a very logical place to go. Like, honestly, the Patriots, like, a lot of people like to shoe in Jackson Smith and Jigba, but it's like Jacoby Myers, that's their slot guy. And he's pretty good at that. So we're going to go with Michael Mayer here. You let me know how you feel about that. All right, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. This is offensive line. It has to be, right? It just makes all the sense in the world, especially with the offensive line talent fallen in this class. I think either way, Broderick Jones or Olu Fashanu are both very good picks. I'm going to go with Olu Fashanu. I think he's a bit of a better athlete and just a better fit for not Zach Evans. Chris Evans is a running back. Zach Taylor. Wow, man, forgot his name. Really did. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is another one that I really like giving corner to. Some people put this as a Bijan spot. I don't think they do that. Though, I mean, hey, man, if you're having trouble placing Bijan, you could just throw him to the Bucs. Why not? But. I think some of the likely places they could go, I'm not going to lie, like Osiris Torrance. It's not a bad option here. But you look at that defense, and they're struggling to get to the passer outside of Shaq Barnett, who's hurt, by the way. They really haven't been getting that from Joe Tryon. You look at what you could probably maybe get out of Devin White's deal, but I feel like they're probably going to sign that guy. I really do. I mean, he's a splash play player. That's just is what he is. In the quarterback position, you're about to lose Jamil Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting. If they're able to keep one of those guys, great. There's a chance they probably lose both. So corner makes a ton of sense, but I'm going to go with the pass rusher in this one, and I'm going to go with actually Jared Verse. I freaking love Jared Verse. I called my shot before the season, said I think this cat could be a top 50 prospect, and he started out the year huge. He had the knee injury, slowed him down a bit. It slowed him a bit down since, but this dude's such a phenomenal athlete, and he brings real strength. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like him better than I did Jermaine Johnson. Just going to say that. So we're going to go with Jared Verse here. The Denver Broncos. Now we actually get to talk about the Broncos quite a bit since the Dolphins don't have a first rounder anymore. Bradley Chubb, though. Maybe he'll be worth it. But the Denver Broncos, man, really thinking of where they could go, and I just keep coming back to the offensive line, offensive tackle. Cameron Fleming's actually playing solid football this year. He's not a long-term option. Behind that, you have, Billy Turner? And Garrett Bowles, actually, that's a guy in another 2 years they can move on from. He will be, at that point, over 30, so he'll be like 31, 32. But, I mean, ideally, we're doing this to shore up the right tackle spot, and then maybe Jones is a guy that, after they decide to move on from Bowles, they can maybe move Jones to left tackle. But Broderick Jones is a good pick here. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I got lazy. I really didn't. I really think Bijan Robinson he's gonna find himself in the top 25. Where that is, I'm having a hard time figuring out. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I think the Ravens could be a possibility, but we saw just Monday night, man. The Kenny and Drake, that's just fine. They don't buy into. I don't think they buy into the whole. Oh, we need to get a first round running back like other teams do. Though I do think the Chargers can with Eckler. He will be expendable, I think, not after the season, but after the 2023 season. Like, his contract makes him expendable, and you could bite that bullet. Hurts a lot less if you have someone in tow, like Bijan Robinson. So we're gonna go with them here. Yeah, he's a tough one to figure out at this point. He's really a tough to figure out where he can go. The Baltimore Ravens. Marcus Peters is a free agent, so I think getting a guy that loves to play press and does a hell of a good job at it. Like, he's good at forcing incompletions. He's a great athlete. I'm gonna go with Christian Gonzalez. All right, on to the Tennessee Titans, and I say this every freaking time. Derrick Henry is the engine to the offense. You have to make sure everything around the engine is working freaking spick and span. Being the offensive line, that hasn't really been the case this year. Is there someone I would take here potentially to replace Taylor Lewan? Not entirely. I'm not entirely sure of that. But we could definitely replace Aaron Brewer and have probably one of the best guard tandems in the league with Nate Davis and Osiris Torrance. Also, Jackson Smith and Jibba. You got Kyle Phillips. I know that's like, he was a 5th rounder. I get that, but like, I really feel like y'all are looking for an outside receiver that can get separation. So we'll just look on day 2 for the Titans. Seattle Seahawks, man, Anthony freaking Richardson is very tantalizing here. He really is. He really is. But I'm not entirely sold that the Seahawks will go quarterback in this class. They can if they want to, but with the play of Geno, I don't think they have to. They don't want to. So if they don't want to, well, shoot, let's try to address some of the weak spots on this defense. And honestly, getting a linebacker that can move, that just plays great out in space, that provides upside as a blitzer. There we go, man. Words are tough. I'm gonna go with Trent Simpson. I really feel like right now he feels like the only first round lock at linebacker. This linebacker class isn't great, and it's better on day 2. But then on day 3, it's kind of like, So you get the first shot at linebacker in this draft. So I say, let's go for it. All right. So I've been loving Brian Branch with this pick. Trent Simpson, honestly, probably would have been the other guy I wanted. Osiris Torrance is a fun pick here, but all those guys I've kind of mentioned are off the board, except for Brian Branch. But I wanted to change things up. Hear me out. Again, experiment with possibilities. Y'all been having problems with Elijah Moore. Not saying y'all gotta move on from him, but maybe you move on from him. Jackson Smith and Njigba. You already have a good track record with Garrett Williams. Garrett Wilson. You're like, oh, these Ohio State guys. Ooh, I love them. Jackson Smith and Njigba is one of the best run blocking wide receivers in this class. He really is. He comes out, he could come in and immediately be your slot guy. So going outside the box, going a bit galaxy brain here, I'm going to go with Jackson Smith and Njigba for the Jets. Again, experiment with possibilities here. The Dallas Cowboys, your run defense, honestly, ain't all that. You need a space here. You need a big boy in the middle, and I'm going to get you a big boy right here in Siaki Ika out of Baylor. Big boy nose tackle. This is the guy you wanted when you drafted Tristan Hill all of 4 years ago. Has it been that long? Whew. All right, the New York Giants. I know. I've been loving giving them Anthony Richardson. But I won't do that for y'all. I won't do that this time. We're going to experiment with different possibilities. And we know your receiver room is kind of lackluster. Well, when you look at receivers, who's another guy that can really crack the first round at this point? Like Kayshon Boutte, definitely. Like the guy, based on his past production, and honestly, he's been producing well since the incident in that Florida State game. He's been producing well. And, he's a guy with a lot of good upside, a guy that can create after the catch. And we know DeBall loves those guys that can create after the catch. Josh Downs, I feel like you're just reaching for more of the same in what you had in Wandale and what you had in Kadarius Toney. Jalen Hyatt, you can think about it. Maybe, but like, I don't know. I'd rather get a guy that I got questions. Can Hyatt play on the outside? Not even necessarily can he play on the outside, but I don't know. I'd feel better with Boutte at this point. I think those are probably the only three guys we could talk about as guys that could sneak into the first round. So I'm going to go with Kayshon Boutte because I really think he fits what Brian Daboll likes. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs. Corner would be nice, but really the one left here that probably is worth a first rounder, it just doesn't fit your scheme whatsoever. Like, I love Clark Phillips, but this guy ain't playing press. This guy ain't playing man for the Chiefs. That just ain't him. That isn't what he does. And at that size, it's not going to be what he does in the NFL. So maybe, receiver. Oh, no. I'm done giving y'all playmakers. How about, this be a fun Bijan spot. Bijan on the Chiefs would be kind of wild. And I'm actually not entirely against that. But the pass rush has been lackluster. Like George Karlaftis, he's been fine, but getting more guys that can really get after it, I think would be key. The two people I think of, look into the interior and Gervin Dexter. But I'm going to go with my boy BJ Ojulari, who has just been producing. Minnesota Vikings receiver. I'm sure a lot of y'all will be like, oh man, I'd love Hyatt at this position. I don't think he'd be the guy. You kind of already have that in Justin Jefferson. That's what he is in that offense. I don't think you want more of the same. Remember, at receiver, typically variety is the spice of life when it comes to your receiving core. Now, what are other areas? Because they went ahead, they brought in TJ Hawkinson, which big game, first game there in Minnesota. Whew, looking good. I know some of y'all don't hate the idea of maybe going quarterback, which I'm not against. But after seeing how yoked out stinking Kirk Cousins is, I'm not going to do that. I don't want him coming after me. So hear me out on this, because one of y'all's weakest spots, because like corner would be nice, and I think Clark Phillips is a good consideration here, but I think he's been a guy that I've mocked here before. One of your weakest spots right now has been in the slot. You may be like, slot corner? No, man. Come on, that's not a high value position. If you can get a really good slot corner, then it ain't half bad. Honestly, Clark Phillips can do that as well. What Clark Phillips I don't think can do is also play safety. I know we haven't seen a lot of Lewis Cine yet. I think Cameron Bynum is a fine depth guy. I think he's a guy that you should include in the rotation, but in terms of a guy that should be one of your lead snap getters on defense, I don't think he's that guy. So maybe looking for that Harrison Smith replacement, but in the meantime, having him play out the slot wouldn't be a bad idea, and I think you could do that with Brian Branch. I absolutely love Brian Branch. All right, we got the Buffalo Bills. They could go, honestly, like this team could go best available. I've done Osiris Torrance here. I've done Antonio Johnson. That makes a ton of sense because of obviously their safeties are getting a bit long in the tooth. It looks like they may have already a good replacement for the future in DeMar Hamlin. So maybe looking for that next heir apparent would be a solid option. You could always dip back into the corner class if you want to. Defensive interior, if you want to get more meaty up front, get Gervin Dexter and just have the meanest D-line in the NFL. I mean, again, there's a plethora of things that they can do. Even if Bijan's here somehow, maybe they go Bijan. But I'm going to go with Antonio Johnson. Just seems to make the most sense. I think he's actually a really good scheme fit as well. Now we have the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, man, the corner I would be thinking here, Clark Phillips, he isn't that guy. Y'all are playing more man defense this year. He ain't doing that for y'all. This is an off coverage zone corner. This guy's 5'10", 185. He ain't doing that for y'all. He's a bad scheme fit. He just is. Emmanuel Forbes is a cool idea, but does this feel too high for him? Maybe not. But I got to thinking. Maybe I'll dip back into the Georgia pool one more time. And getting a guy has a similar skill set to Hassan Reddick, but probably could be a better run stuffer than Hassan. Nolan Smith. Y'all just go straight D-line in this first round. If Cora was here, that would definitely be the spot. Even safety, it's like, I don't know, there's not really anyone I would consider. Like Christopher Smith's probably the next safety. And I don't know if he's necessarily the guy I want. This may feel a bit too early for him. Maybe not. But I think Nolan Smith would be a good fit. Now, because this is the mock draft, NFL mock draft database simulator, they registered 32 picks. There's only 31 picks in the first round this year because the Dolphins are shady as hell. But I'm going to give y'all my first round plus my first pick in the second round. So we have the Houston Texans. So we get to see 3 picks for the Houston Texans. And I think you can continue to address the defensive line and just keep adding talent. Gervin Dexter, he's a guy I would have loved to get somewhere in the first round. Just ended up not lining up. And so we're going to snag him here. We're going to save that. We're going to take a good look at this sucker and see how you think I did. Overall, man, I think it's a fair mock draft. I think it's interesting. It's got a few twists, a few turns. Only 3 quarterbacks go in the first round. Again, Tanner McKee, I think he falls just because of Stanford's butt. Anthony Richardson is such an enigma. Maybe he comes back. I don't know. But definitely a lot of interesting picks. I want to play with different possibilities. You let me know how I did in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.